boy stands on the edge of a rooftop, looking down. There's no panic in him, no hesitation, just a strange sense of relief. Like if he takes one more step forward, everything finally stops hurting. He wasn't always like this. He didn't wake up one day wanting to disappear. Something pushed him here, slowly, piece by piece, until even existing felt like a burden. And then, he's gone. His funeral is held on November 4th. People gather around his body, faces he never wanted to see while he was alive. Now they're all here, pretending, mourning, standing close to someone they never really understood. But whatever truth he carried dies with him. No one hears it. No one ever will. 6 months earlier, Ayuma Tendo was just a normal, quiet student. That morning felt ordinary. Some guys were playing basketball, and he got invited to join. Nothing serious, just a casual game. On his way there, he almost bumps into a girl, Hihara. It's nothing, barely even contact, but it's enough to throw him off. She's cute, way out of his league, at least in his mind. His heart starts racing, and before he can even process it, she's already gone. His friend notices immediately. Teasing starts. Loud, relentless, saying Tendo likes her, that he should just confess already. Tendo panics, denies it, but it only makes things worse. His friend keeps pushing, like it's all a joke. Tendo doesn't even know what to say. Confessing? That's not something he believes would go anywhere. Then suddenly, a scream cuts through everything. The mood shifts instantly. 2 names start circulating again, Suzukiyama and Wakaoy. The kind of people everyone knows, but no one wants to get involved with. They don't need to say much. Their reputation speaks for them. Suzukiyama especially. He doesn't ask for things, he orders them. And if you don't listen, it doesn't end there. It just gets worse. Tendo knows this. Everyone does. So he keeps his head down and hopes he never gets noticed. But things don't go his way. Seat assignments change. Tendo secretly hopes, just a little, that he might end up near Hihara. Maybe at least sit close, maybe talk once or twice. Instead, he ends up directly in front of Suzukiyama, the worst possible seat. The next day, a surprise test is announced. Nothing unusual, until Suzukiyama reaches into his desk and realizes something's missing, his pencil case. At first, it seems like a small thing. Then he glances forward, and there it is, inside Tendo's desk. That moment quietly becomes the start of everything. Suzukiyama doesn't make a scene right away. He just looks, thinks, then exchanges a glance with Wakaoy. Something unspoken passes between them. Later, in the middle of class, Suzukiyama leans forward and taps Tendo's shoulder. He says he's willing to forgive him. Tendo freezes. Forgive? What? He has no idea what Suzukiyama is talking about. Then it hits him, the pencil case. Confused, Tendo checks his desk and finds it. Just like Suzukiyama said, his mind goes blank. He didn't put it there, he knows that. But saying that out loud feels useless already. Still, he tries. He explains, denies it, says there must be some mistake. Suzukiyama doesn't care. Instead, he gives Tendo a choice. If he wants forgiveness, he has to prove it by hitting their teacher, right there, in class. Tendo is stunned. That's not something you joke about. That's not something you can just do. It's insane. He refuses, tries to reason, tries to explain again, but Suzukiyama's patience runs out fast. To him, Tendo isn't innocent. He's just annoying. Tendo panics, stands up suddenly, trying to defend himself louder this time. The whole class turns to look. Now everyone's watching. The teacher notices, asks if something's wrong. Tendo says nothing. He just lowers his head, because there's nothing he can say that would make this better. Behind him, Suzukiyama smiles, just a little. By break time, Tendo finally tells his best friend Shinji everything. Shinji listens carefully. He knows Tendo wouldn't do something like that. He believes him immediately, but something feels off. Shinji starts thinking, maybe someone else set this up. Tendo has the same suspicion. Suzukiyama could have planted the pencil case himself. Still, they decide the best thing to do is talk it out directly. Clear the misunderstanding. Face him properly. Shinji even offers to come along. Tendo hesitates. He doesn't want Shinji dragged into this, but Shinji brushes it off, says that's what friends are for, and And just like that, they go together, not knowing they're walking straight into something much worse. Tendo and Shinji don't wander around blindly. They already have a clue where to go. There's this student, Suda, always running around, out of breath, doing errands no one else would accept, buying drinks that don't even exist, chasing impossible requests, all because Suzukiyama and Wakaoy told him to. So when they see Suda rushing past them again, they don't need to think twice. They follow him. Behind the school, where no one really goes, they find them. Suda is already on the ground, and Suzukiyama is beating him, just hitting him like it's nothing. Tendo freezes. His body locks up the moment he sees it. His face turns pale. This isn't something he's only heard rumors about anymore. He's seeing it happen right in front of him. Shinji reacts first. He whispers that they need to get a teacher. But before they can even move, Wakaoy notices them. Everything stops. Not the tension, just the beating. Suzukiyama turns, sees them, and instead of hiding it, he calls them over. Just like that. Tendo's heart is pounding, but Shinji is still beside him. That's enough. So they walk forward together, step by step. Shinji speaks first. He tries to keep things calm, brings up the pencil case incident, says they came to clear things up, nothing more. He explains it logically. Tendo wouldn't do something like that. It doesn't make sense. Tendo backs him up, says it again clearly. He didn't take anything. For a moment, Suzukiyama listens. Then he laughs. Relief hits Tendo instantly. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's over. But it's not. Because Suzukiyama doesn't care about the pencil case anymore. Not at all. Instead, he grabs Suda, who can barely stand, and throws him down again, right in front of them. Tendo and Shinji flinch. They can't hide it. And Suzukiyama notices. Of course he does. So he keeps going. Hits Suda again. Harder this time. Not because he needs to, but because they're watching. Then, suddenly, he changes his tone. Like he's explaining something normal. He tells them they've misunderstood. This isn't bullying. Suda likes it. He calls him an extreme masochist, someone who enjoys being beaten. And to prove it, he forces Suda to say it himself. Suda struggles to even breathe, but he nods, repeats it, says he likes it, says they shouldn't report anything, even tells Tendo and Shinji to join in, to hit him too. The words sound wrong, forced, but they're said anyway, because they have to be. Tendo's mind goes blank again. He knows this isn't real. None of this makes sense, but he also knows something worse. This isn't just about Suda anymore. They're being pulled into it, dragged into the same situation. If they accept it, they're part of it. If they reject it, they become targets. Shinji steps forward, calm but firm. He says he doesn't care what Suda calls himself. He's not hitting anyone. He apologizes, but refuses. Then tells Tendo they should leave. For a second, it feels like they might actually walk away. But Suzukiyama stops them. Calls out to Tendo this time. He hasn't answered yet. Tendo hesitates. Everything in him is telling him to say no. But saying it out loud feels dangerous. Still, he does. He says there's no reason to hit someone. That it's wrong. Suzukiyama's expression changes instantly. He doesn't like that answer. Not one bit. He raises his voice, forcing Tendo to repeat himself louder, so everyone hears. So there's no backing out. Tendo says it again, clearer this time. He won't do it. There's a pause. Then Suzukiyama leans in slightly, and quietly, almost casually, warns him. If he tells anyone, he'll kill him. Tendo and Shinji leave. Fast. Once they're alone again, the tension doesn't disappear. Tendo thanks Shinji immediately, because without him, he knows he would have frozen completely, wouldn't have known what to do. Shinji laughs it off, but then his expression shifts. He asks the real question, what now? Shinji wants to report it, go straight to a teacher. He can't ignore what they just saw, not after that. Tendo hesitates, because he already knows the risk. If Suzukiyama finds out, they're finished. Shinji thinks about it differently. Even if there's a risk, they can't just let it continue. If something worse happens to Suda, they'll regret doing nothing. Tendo can't argue with that. He knows Shinji's right, but fear doesn't disappear just because something is right. In the end, Shinji goes alone, to the staff room. He tells the teacher everything, what they saw, what happened, all of it. The teacher listens, but his response isn't what Shinji expected. He says they'll look into it. That's it. No urgency, no immediate action, just observation. Shinji thanks him anyway and leaves. Even that took courage. Meanwhile, Tendo goes home. The day feels strangely quiet after everything. Nothing happens, no confrontation, no punishment. Suzukiyama doesn't even look at him. For a moment, Tendo thinks, maybe it's over. But Suda's face keeps replaying in his head, over and over. Bruised, silent, forced to smile. That night, his mother comes home early. Something rare. She asks what he wants for dinner, wanting to do something nice for him. Tendo lights up a little. He asks for curry hamburger. It's a small moment. Warm, normal. Just him, his mother, and their cat. That's his whole world. No matter how lonely things get, at least he has that. But even then, the image of Suda doesn't go away. The next morning starts off normal. At least, that's how it looks. Tendo walks into school expecting things to feel the same as yesterday. Quiet, tense, but manageable. Then he sees something that immediately feels off. Suda and Shinji walking together. Tendo stops for a second. That doesn't make sense. After everything that happened yesterday, after Shinji stood up to Suzukiyama, after Suda got beaten right in front of them, why would those two be talking? Instinctively, Tendo follows them. Not openly, just enough to stay out of sight. He doesn't want to interrupt. He just wants to understand. They head somewhere quiet, away from other students, and then Suda starts talking. He says that yesterday, after school, a teacher called him in, asked if he was being bullied by Suzukiyama and Wakaoy. Tendo stiffens. So the report actually reached the teacher. For a moment, there's a small sense of relief. Maybe something is finally happening. Suda continues. He says he figured the report came from either Shinji or Tendo. Then he thanks Shinji. Tendo's mind immediately clears one thing up. So it wasn't him. That means Shinji really did go through with it. Even after everything. Shinji doesn't deny it. He admits it, calmly. He just wants to know what Suda told the teacher, whether he explained the truth. Suda looks down, then answers. No, he didn't say anything. Shinji pauses, confused. Why? Suda calls him stupid. Not angrily, just bluntly. Then he drops the truth. Everything he said earlier? A lie. No teacher called him. No questions were asked. Nothing happened. And even if it does happen later, he says he still won't say anything. Tendo feels his chest tighten listening from a distance. None of this adds up. Suda explains it simply. He's not being bullied. He likes it. He's a masochist. Just like he said yesterday. The same words, the same forced explanation. But now he's saying it like it's real. Shinji can't accept that. He asks again, seriously? Suda doesn't want to hear it. He tells Shinji to stop interfering, to stop doing pointless things that will only cause trouble. Then he brings up Tendo, says he knows Tendo probably feels guilty too. Shinji immediately steps in, says Tendo had nothing to do with the report, that it was his decision alone. Tendo, still hidden, hears everything, and the more he listens, the less sense it makes. Because the only logical explanation is obvious. Suda is being forced. Everything he's saying isn't really his choice. But then, something shifts. Suda suddenly swings and punches Shinji. No warning, no hesitation. Shinji drops to the ground instantly. Stunned, he can't even process what just happened. Suda stands over him, cold, different. He tells Shinji that this is what happens when you do something unnecessary. Then he hits him again, harder. He tells Shinji not to look down on him, not to assume things, not to interfere. Tendo watches all of it, frozen again. Just like yesterday, he wants to step in, but his body won't move. And just like that, Suda walks away, leaving Shinji on the ground. Later, Suda reports everything to Wakaoy, like it's just another task, another duty completed. Wakaoy doesn't get angry. If anything, he's satisfied. He even gives Suda a tape recorder, a silent threat, something to make sure Suda keeps his mouth shut. Meanwhile, Shinji is left alone, bruised, beaten. Tendo hears rumors spreading, that Shinji got into a fight with Suda, that he lost. He doesn't believe it, not like that. So he goes looking for him, and finds him. Shinji's face is swollen, one eye completely shut, barely able to open it. Tendo's heart drops, but Shinji laughs, says he just lost, like it's nothing. Tendo asks if he's okay. Shinji says he is. They walk together, side by side, but something's off. Tendo asks what really happened, because he knows that wasn't a normal fight. Shinji stays quiet for a long moment, then finally says, "It's nothing important. That's it." Tendo stops asking, but inside, he already understands. Suda didn't act on his own. He was told to do it. And the reason? Shinji reported them. That thought hits hard, because if that's true, then everything started with Tendo. If the pencil case never happened, if Shinji never got involved, if they never went to that place behind the school, none of this would have happened. The guilt starts settling in, heavy, unavoidable. Tendo begins to think, Shinji probably blames him. That's why he won't talk. That's why he's distant now. And the worst part? Tendo can't even bring himself to ask again. Days pass, then a week, and strangely, nothing happens. No threats, no punishments, no tension. It almost feels like everything went back to normal, but that feeling doesn't last. After school one day, Suzukiyama calls out to Tendo. Just like that, out of nowhere, Tendo freezes, turns around slowly. Suzukiyama invites him to hang out, like it's nothing, like none of the past week ever happened. Tendo doesn't know how to react. He wants to refuse, but the words won't come out, because saying no feels dangerous, so he agrees. As they walk, they pass Shinji. For a moment, their eyes almost meet, but neither of them says anything. They just keep walking, in opposite directions. And just like that, something between them quietly breaks. Tendo doesn't know why he said yes. Even as he follows Suzukiyama and Wakaoy, something in his chest feels wrong, like he's stepping into something he shouldn't be part of, but can't escape from either. They take him to a batting center, just a normal place. Bright lights, the sound of balls hitting bats, people laughing in the distance. It doesn't match them at all. Wakaoy goes first. He steps into the cage, swings a few times. According to Suzukiyama, he's gotten better lately. Wakaoy doesn't look impressed with himself. Tendo just watches, quiet, confused. Then, out of nowhere, Suzukiyama apologizes. Tendo thinks he misheard him, but no. Suzukiyama repeats it. He admits he was wrong about the pencil case, says he shouldn't have jumped to conclusions. Tendo just stands there, stunned. Suzukiyama keeps talking. He says people always judge based on what they see. They don't think about what's underneath, about circumstances they don't understand, and because of that, they misunderstand others. Tendo listens, slowly, trying to process it. Then Suzukiyama says something that hits differently. He says he's starting to see Tendo in a new light, that he respects him. It doesn't feel real, not after everything. But Suzukiyama smiles, like it's genuine, tells Tendo they should get along from now on. In the background, Wakaoy smirks, like he's enjoying this. They pull Tendo into the game next, tell him to try batting, but Tendo can't focus. Not on the ball, not on the game. His head is too full, because this doesn't match what he saw. The same people who beat Suda without hesitation are now acting normal, friendly even. Wakaoy steps in to help him, shows him how to swing properly. Patient, calm. That makes it worse. Tendo starts questioning everything. Maybe they're not as bad as he thought? Maybe there's something he doesn't understand. But even as that thought forms, another part of him pushes back, hard. Because no matter what explanation exists, what they did to Suda wasn't normal. Still, Tendo doesn't say anything. He just goes along with it, because right now, it feels safer that way. They finish playing and head out. On the way, Suzukiyama gets a call from a girl, Tsurumaki Mana. Tendo recognizes the name. She's in their class. Suzukiyama talks casually, then turns to Wakaoy and Tendo, asking if they want to join him. They both refuse. Wakaoy brushes it off. Tendo just wants to go home. And just like that, they split up. But Tendo's mind doesn't settle. Nothing about today makes sense. The next morning, things get even stranger. As soon as Tendo walks into class, Suzukiyama greets him, openly, like they're actually friends. Wakaoy does the same. The entire class notices, everyone's staring, because this doesn't happen. Not with someone like Tendo. But Suzukiyama doesn't care. He acts like it's normal. Only one person looks uneasy, their teacher, Aoki-sensei. He's been watching everything, from the start. He remembers Shinji's report, the incident with Suda, the sudden resolution between everyone. None of it sits right with him. But the school's stance is clear. Don't interfere unless necessary. Observe first. So that's what he does, even if it doesn't feel right. Later, he calls Tendo aside, just the two of them. He asks directly, "Has something happened?" Tendo hesitates. This is his chance. He knows it. He could tell the truth. Everything. About Suda, about Shinji, about the threats. But instead, he says nothing happened. Aoki-sensei isn't convinced. He asks again, more carefully this time. Is Tendo being threatened? Forced to do things? Tendo shakes his head. Again, he lies. Because saying the truth feels more dangerous than hiding it. The teacher studies him for a moment, then shifts the topic. He asks about Shinji. Tendo's expression changes. Just slightly, but enough. He says Shinji told him nothing, just that he lost to Suda. That's all. The teacher leans back, thinking, if that's the case, then maybe everything really is fine. Maybe he was overthinking it. Still, something feels off, but without proof, he can't act, so he lets it go, for now. Before Tendo leaves, the teacher asks him to keep their conversation private, says he doesn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. Tendo agrees. When he steps outside, Suzukiyama and Wakaoy are waiting, like they knew. They ask what the teacher said. Tendo replies calmly, just a normal counseling session, nothing important. For a moment, it seems like they accept it. Then suddenly, Wakaoy speaks. He says Tendo deserves a penalty. Tendo freezes. Suzukiyama's expression changes instantly, cold. They tell him, he lied. Tendo's mind goes blank. How do they know? But Suzukiyama explains it in his own way. Even if Tendo lied to protect them, a lie is still a lie. And in their friendship, that counts as betrayal. So there has to be compensation, a penalty. Tendo doesn't understand any of it. He never agreed to this, never chose to be part of anything. But to them, he already is, and there's no easy way out. Tendo just stands there, trying to make sense of it. A penalty? For lying? He didn't even realize he was part of anything to begin with. Wakaoy explains it like it's completely normal. In their group, if someone betrays a friend, they have to make up for it. That's the rule. That's how their friendship works. They call it compensation. Tendo listens, but none of it feels real. He was never their friend. He never agreed to this. All he did was follow them once. To the batting center. That's it. But to Suzukiyama and Wakaoy, that was enough. Before Tendo can even respond properly, someone runs up to them. Suda. He looks messy, still carrying the marks from before, but there's a strange energy in him, almost eager. He proudly shows what he bought. A drink Suzukiyama ordered. Suzukiyama doesn't even hesitate. He gets angry, says it's wrong, not what he asked for. Suda immediately apologizes, over and over, but it doesn't matter. Suzukiyama keeps going, scolding him like it's routine, then casually mentions, Suda's penalty is now over 30,000. Tendo hears that number, and something clicks. This isn't just a rule, it's a system where penalties keep stacking, where nothing is ever enough, where you can't win. And suddenly, Tendo sees it. This is where it leads. This is what his future could look like. That thought doesn't leave him, not even when he's walking home. His mind keeps replaying everything, trying to justify it, trying to understand it. Suzukiyama said something earlier, that people judge without knowing the full story. That if you really understand someone, you might see things differently. Tendo starts thinking, what if that's true? Shinji reported them and got beaten. Tendo stayed quiet and got accepted. So maybe this is just how they work. If you don't go against them, things stay calm. But then, what about Suda? That question keeps coming back. What did Suda do to deserve all of that? There has to be a reason, right? Something that justifies it. Something that explains why he's treated like that. Because if there isn't, then it means this can happen to anyone, including Tendo. And the truth is, he's already started receiving penalties. So what happens next? If he messes up again, does he end up like Suda? That fear settles in quietly. Tendo realizes something important. If he wants out, he has to leave. But leaving isn't simple. Every option he thinks of feels dangerous. If he says the wrong thing, it becomes another betrayal, another penalty, and that just pulls him deeper in. So instead, he starts thinking about excuses, ways to slowly distance himself, words that won't trigger them, but none of it feels safe. Because with Suzukiyama and Wakaoy, there's always a catch. As he's lost in thought, someone calls out to him. It's Tsuramaki Mana. Tendo turns, surprised. They don't usually talk. She walks up to him, a little nervous. Then suddenly, she asks what he thinks of her. Tendo freezes. He doesn't understand the question. Not in this context. Not like this. Then she says it clearly. If she confessed to him, would he go out with her? Tendo's mind goes completely blank. This is too sudden, too unexpected, and on top of everything else going on, he can't process it. He hesitates, and that's enough for her to react. She doesn't like the pause, doesn't like the uncertainty. She tells him, if he can't answer right away, it means she doesn't matter to him. Tendo tries to explain, says he just needs time, that it's not like that, but she cuts him off, accuses him of looking down on her, of thinking she's not good enough. Tendo immediately denies it, strongly. That's not what he meant, not at all. So she asks again, then what's the problem? From her point of view, this should be simple, but for Tendo, it's not, because there's someone else, someone he likes. Even if the chances are almost zero, that feeling is still there. So he apologizes and rejects her, clearly this time. Tsuramaki doesn't take it well. She calls him mean, says if that was the case, he should have just said it from the start. To her, it feels like he played with her feelings. Tendo tries to explain again, but nothing he says fixes it. The conversation ends like that, awkward, heavy. What Tendo doesn't know is that none of this was random. Tsuramaki came to him for a reason, and the entire conversation was being listened to through a recording, connected directly to Suzukiyama. From the very beginning, Tendo was being tested and set up. He just didn't know it yet. The next day doesn't give Tendo any time to breathe. He's still thinking about what happened with Tsuramaki, how sudden it was, how wrong it felt, how he couldn't even respond properly. When Suzukiyama and Wakaoy stop him again after school, Suzukiyama brings it up immediately. Tsuramaki's confession. The way he says it feels off, too casual, like he's talking about something he already knows, in detail. Tendo feels it right away. Something isn't right, because Suzukiyama speaks like he heard everything, not like someone who was told afterward. That uneasy feeling starts building again. Before Tendo can even process it, Wakaoy steps in. He says what Tendo did wasn't good. Another penalty. Tendo freezes. Again. He asks why. But the answer doesn't come as a clear explanation. Instead, the penalty just increases, like it's already decided. That's when it hits him. These penalties aren't fair. They're not rules. They're just control. There's no balance. No way to argue back. No way to defend yourself. Because no matter what, they decide. Still, Suzukiyama talks like there is logic behind it. He says Tendo did something a friend shouldn't do, that even if Tendo didn't realize it, it still counts. So now Tendo tries to think, what did he actually do? The only thing that comes to mind is rejecting Tsuramaki, but that shouldn't be wrong. Not like this. Suzukiyama's expression darkens. He says Tendo was trying to compromise, like he was considering going out with her halfway. And since Tsuramaki is his friend, that becomes an insult. So it becomes a penalty. Tendo finally understands something clearly. This has nothing to do with fairness. Anything can be turned into a reason. Anything can be used against him. He tries to explain anyway. Says he didn't mean it like that he just didn't know how to respond. But they don't care. Wakaoy shuts it down immediately. Says it doesn't matter what he meant. The result is the same, so the penalty stays. Tendo goes quiet. Then, he makes a decision. His hands are shaking, but he says it anyway. He asks if he can leave their group. For a moment, everything stops. Wakaoy tilts his head slightly, as if he's trying to understand what Tendo just said. Then he translates it in his own way. So, Tendo hates being with them? Tendo freezes. That's not what he meant. Not exactly. But explaining it feels dangerous. Still, he tries. He says it's not that he hates it. He just doesn't think he fits. He doesn't believe in their rules. He doesn't have what it takes to be part of their friendship. He tries to keep it respectful, careful, but as he speaks, their expressions change. Not anger, they're holding back laughter. Then suddenly, they burst out laughing. Right in front of him, Tendo stands there, confused. Suzukiyama asks him what conviction he's talking about, because from his perspective, there's no such thing. He just does what he wants, likes what he likes, hates what he hates. That's it. And to him, that's normal. He even says he hates people who try too hard to act a certain way, who pretend, who fit in. Tendo feels something twist inside him, because none of this matches what he's going through. Then Wakaoy speaks again. He says it plainly. Tendo just wants to escape the penalties. That's the real reason, and Tendo can't deny it, because it's true. Suzukiyama picks up from there. He says if Tendo is that kind of person, then that's fine. He can leave, but if he does, he should be ready for what comes after. No details, no explanation, just a warning. And somehow, that's worse. Wakaoy asks him again, what does he really want? If he didn't mean what he said, then just say so. It's that simple. Tendo's mind goes blank, because right now, there are only two choices. Leave and face whatever comes next, or stay and keep playing along. Neither feels safe, but one feels survivable. So Tendo forces a laugh, says he was just overthinking, that he didn't mean it, that everything is fine. He apologizes, and just like that, he gives up his chance to leave, because fear wins. From that point on, Tendo changes his goal. If he can't leave, then he has to survive inside it, and the only way to do that is to get rid of his penalties. The next day in class, he finally asks about it. Carefully, he wants to understand how penalties work, how to reduce them. But the moment the words leave his mouth, Suzukiyama's expression drops. Without warning, he hits Tendo hard. The entire class goes silent. Tendo is too shocked to react. Suzukiyama says he understands. It's Tendo's first time, so he'll forgive that ignorance. Then, he hits him again, even harder. Wakaoy watches, smiling. Some students look uncomfortable, some look away, but no one steps in. Because Suzukiyama makes it clear, this is between friends, and no one wants to get involved in that. Tendo doesn't fight back, he just takes it, because now he understands. This isn't something he can talk his way out of. The classroom goes quiet, not the normal kind of quiet. This one feels heavy, like everyone's holding their breath, pretending not to see what's happening right in front of them. Tendo is on the receiving end of it, again. Suzukiyama's hits aren't random anymore. They're controlled, deliberate. Wakaoy watches from the side, clearly entertained. No one moves. Tendo feels it. Not just the pain, but the isolation. Because he knows, if helping someone means putting yourself in danger, most people won't do it. And right now, he's the one no one will help. Somewhere outside the classroom, footsteps pass by. Shinji. He hears the noise, hears Tendo's name being shouted. For a moment, it looks like he might step in, like the old Shinji would've, but he doesn't. He keeps walking, and that hits harder than anything else. Tendo understands why. He really does. After what happened to Shinji, after getting beaten for trying to do the right thing, this is the natural outcome. Still, understanding it doesn't make it hurt any less. Tendo's body feels heavy. His vision blurs. He's barely holding himself up. But even now, his mind is still thinking. If he denies them, if he fights back, what happens? Will things get better or worse? There's no clear answer. Because even doing the right thing doesn't guarantee anything. He's already seen that. With Suda, with Shinji. So instead, Tendo does something else. He forces himself to stand, slowly, painfully. And then, he says it. He agrees with them. Says Wakaoy is right, that he deserved this, that it's his fault, that he betrayed them. The words feel wrong, but he says them anyway, because right now, surviving matters more than being right. For a second, everything settles. Then the classroom door opens. Tsuramaki walks in with her friends. She immediately notices what's going on. Suzukiyama, acting up again, and this time, Tendo is the target. That reminds her of something. A bet. Suzukiyama had said, if Tendo accepted her confession, he'd treat her. At the time, she didn't think much of it. She was just curious why Tendo was the target. Now she understands. Because Tendo rejected her, and that makes this feel like a loss. She doesn't say anything, just watches. From the side, another girl is watching too, quietly, carefully. Her name is Mataga. Unlike everyone else, she doesn't look away. After school, things don't end. Tendo is still with Suzukiyama and Wakaoy, like nothing happened. They start talking about earlier, about the mistake Tendo made. Wakaoy explains it again, asking about penalties like that. Of course it would make them angry. If penalties could just disappear that easily, then what's the point of having them? Tendo tries to explain. That wasn't what he meant, but they don't care about the meaning, only the result. Still, they offer something. If Tendo listens to their request, they might consider reducing it. Tendo doesn't like how that sounds. It feels like a transaction. Wakaoy quickly denies that, says it's not like that, but it clearly is. Then they explain the request. They have a problem with another group. A fight might happen, and they don't want to lose. So they need preparation, training, and for that, they need Tendo. They take him somewhere quiet, an empty building. The moment they step inside, the atmosphere changes. Suzukiyama turns to them, calm, then says it directly. Fight him, both of them, at the same time. Tendo freezes. This isn't a game. He immediately refuses, says he can't do that. Wakaoy calls him stupid, says this is necessary, if they're going to win. Then he questions Tendo. Doesn't he want to help? Suzukiyama adds to it. Of course it's hard. No one wants to hit their friends. But that's exactly why it matters. Because if they lose, it's on Tendo too. The pressure builds instantly. Tendo's chest tightens. His hands shake. He doesn't want to do this, but refusing doesn't feel like an option anymore. So Suzukiyama gives him the final push. If Tendo holds back, then it means he doesn't care if they lose. And that is another betrayal. That's all it takes. Tendo moves. With everything he has, he charges forward. Not because he wants to, but because he has to. And Suzukiyama was waiting for that. Back at school, Mataga is talking to a teacher. She's been watching everything. Not just today, for a while now. And something doesn't feel right. She says it clearly. Tendo, Suzukiyama, and Wakaoy, they don't look like friends. To her, it looks like bullying. And this time, she's not ignoring it. Because now, she's seen it with her own eyes. Mataga can't ignore it anymore. For a long time, everything about Suzukiyama was just rumors. Stories people whispered about. Things no one could prove. But now, she's seen it herself. What's happening to Tendo isn't friendship. It's something else. Then everything Suzukiyama has done before might come to light too. And that matters. Because Mataga hasn't forgotten. Her mind drifts back. A year ago, a transfer student arrived. Tsutamaki Mana. Back then, she looked completely different. Long black hair. Elegant. Quiet. The entire class was drawn to her instantly. Everyone admired her. But not everyone welcomed her. There were rules. Strict ones. And one person in particular enforced them more than anyone. Mitsuko Shimura, a member of the disciplinary committee. Serious. Rigid. Someone who didn't bend rules for anyone. The day after Tsutamaki arrived, Mitsuko confronted her. Not to greet her. Not to help her adjust, but to call her out. Her hair. It didn't follow school regulations. Mitsuko accused her of breaking the rules on purpose. Told her to fix it. And when she didn't, she was told to stay after school. The next day, everything changed. Tsutamaki came back, but not the same. Her long black hair was gone, cut short, dyed, and she wasn't alone. She was with Suzukiyama. From that moment on, the way people treated her shifted. The same students who used to stand by Mitsuko now stayed close to Tsutamaki. Respect, fear, it all mixed together. And Mitsuko? She disappeared, stopped coming to school. Mataga couldn't ignore that. So she went to Mitsuko's house. Her mother answered, apologetic. She said Mitsuko refused to leave her room, wouldn't talk, wouldn't go outside. Something had happened, but no one said what. Still, Mataga connected the pieces. Tsutamaki got close to Suzukiyama, and right after that, Mitsuko broke. There was no proof, nothing solid, but it was enough to leave a mark. And now, Seeing what's happening to Tendo, it feels the same pattern, the same pressure. Because if this gets exposed, everything could come out. She doesn't realize someone is watching her from a distance, quiet, observing, just like she was. And just like before, things are already moving behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Tendo is still trapped in it, still trying to survive, still trying to understand rules that were never meant to be fair. He thought staying quiet would keep things from getting worse. He thought going along with it would protect him, but now he's already inside, and every step forward only pulls him deeper. The same path Suda walked, the same path that broke Shinji, the same path that leads to that rooftop, where it all ends.